Hello again, I am Blunty, and while in Japan recently I was invited to a very special museum tour. A very special private museum inside Olympus's headquarters in Tokyo, and within it an unbroken history of Olympus's products, and they even let me film some of it, so I get to share it with you guys now. So we need to start at the beginning. Olympus was established way back in 1919, and for those of you who suck at math, that means they're creeping up on 100 years old. Once upon a time, there was a very clever man called Takeshi Yamashita, whose dream began with the quest to build microscopes, the first of which on display here, of course. Born in March 1920, the Asahi, also the name of my favourite Japanese beer by the way, made from the same bronze alloy of copper and tin that was used to make cannon barrels. There were many wonderful and beautiful microscopes on display in fact from this part of Olympus's history, including right up to the very fancy computerized stereoscopic units they make today. I also saw, but wasn't allowed to film, the history of their medical endoscopy equipment, which is kind of incredible really, even right up to those little pill-sized cameras that you can now swallow and they take pictures of your guts as they pass through you. Incredible stuff. Olympus also invented the micro cassette recorder, extinct now thanks to miniature digital recorders, but still a significant product in its own right. But of course I was here to check out the history of their cameras, a history that has its shadow stretching over 80 or so years and still echoes through today's cameras. 1936 saw the birth of the first of their cameras, called the Semi-Olympus 1, a 4.5 by 6 cm folding camera which took 16 exposures on 120 film, what is commonly known today as medium format. It had a 4-element lens, 75mm focal length and an f4.5 aperture, and it, as all these lovely lenses still do today, carried the Zuiko brand. I'm not going to run through the whole history here camera by camera, but I will say it was of course an exquisite and complete collection, the deep throbbing envy of any Olympus fan and collector of camera history. But there are some examples I'd like to point out for the individual significance. The Olympus Wide, for example, released in 1955 a modified version of an existing Olympus 35mm camera. The Wide was one of the cameras responsible for sparking a revolutionary boom in 35mm wide-angle cameras. Before the Olympus Wide, most fixed-lens compact cameras featured short telephoto lenses, 45mm or longer usually. Great for portraits, but landscape shooters and those that just wanted a much wider field of view had to use much more expensive and larger cameras with interchangeable lens systems. The Wide, with its 35mm lens, gave people an easier and much more affordable way to take wide-angle photos, and a whole bunch of cameras followed in its footsteps. Then of course there were the Olympus Pen Cameras, a name revived and ongoing today with Olympus's Micro Four Thirds system cameras. But the original pen cameras started in 1959 and lived right through to the 1980s. Notable for being the first half-frame camera made in Japan. It was noticeably smaller than other cameras that used 35mm film canisters, and indeed the pen name was given to it because it was designed to be as easy to carry with you as a pen. An exaggeration perhaps for marketing purposes, but the Pen series of cameras, thanks to a combination of their ease of use, excellent lenses, and of course their take-me-anywhere and everywhere size, became hugely popular, and once again inspired the competition to follow in Olympus's footsteps. There were many variants and models of the Pen with different lenses and feature sets. Some were truly superb cameras and are now hungrily sought after by collectors, and some, well, less so. But the Pen family of cameras left an indelible mark on the history and evolution of consumer point-and-shoot cameras. Next up, there's the OM family. Like the Pen, the OM branding has been revived for today's digital age with Olympus's critically acclaimed OM-D line of higher-end, feature-rich Micro Four Thirds cameras for the more serious shooters of the world. And back in the days of film and chemistry, the OM line filled the same pro-level needs. Introduced in 1972, it left its mark by halving the weight of comparable DSLRs, without compromising on build quality or image quality or reliability. Its lightweight made it very popular with globe-trotting photographers of course, some hiking to the top of Everest with it, but astronomers also found love for it, finding it much easier to attach to their telescopes than the heavier bulky cameras from other guys like Canon and Nikon. As the OM system grew and evolved, it gained advanced metering and program modes. In various models, Olympus introduced inventions like off-the-film light metering, high-key, low-key and multiple spot metering, and high-speed sync flash. The OM system grew to 14 models in all, and most old-school Olympus shooters will have a favourite OM model. Some prefer the sturdier, older models over the lighter and more plasticky modern ones. Some like the younger models for their technical tricks. And finally, no tour of Olympus history could be complete without dipping our toes in the waters of the Olympus Trip 35 and its family. Produced from 1967 all the way through to 1984. As the name suggests, the Trip 35 was a 35mm point-and-shoot camera designed to make photography easy on trips and holidays. It was small, compact, very light, and very easy to use. It had a 40mm f2.8 lens, a solar-powered selenium light meter, and operated as a program automatic, choosing either 1/40th of a second or 1/200th of a second shutter speeds, and it had a simple 4-position zone focusing system. And it is prized and praised even to this day by shooters and collectors, not just for its ease of use and what it did to camera history, but also because its lens was uncommonly sharp, even by today's standards. It offered up some of the crispest images you could ever hope to find on a camera of its type. And on a personal note, I'll have more to say on the Trip 35 in a future video. I'm actually testing one right now, and spoiler alert, I like it. Everything in Olympus's museum is notable in its own right, one way or the other, but these 5 things in particular, the Olympus Semi-1, the Olympus Wide, the Pen family, the Trip 35 and its bloodline, and the OM ancestry, are all significant in how they established Olympus and influenced the photographic industry around it as a whole. I feel very fortunate indeed to have had the uncommon privilege of a private tour of this little museum in the heart of Olympus's Japanese headquarters, and the lust-worthy collection of lens-bearing contraptions therein. Thanks for watching. I am Blunty, and I will catch you next time.